Hey friends, you're listening to the AI Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we talk tools, stories, and strategy for today's founders. I'm your host, Angelina Shively, and this show is for entrepreneurs who are curious about AI and want to know how to transform their businesses. In each episode, I share honest conversations about what's working, what's not, and the lessons learned along the way. If you're ready to use AI to save time, think bigger, and build smarter, you're in the right place. Let's go. Okay, well, hello everyone. I am so thrilled to have Suzanne Taylor-King here with us today. Suzanne is a futurist, business coach, and AI enabler, and she is one of my dearest mentors. And I'm just so glad to have you here on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. Can't wait.
Okay, so tell us just a little bit. I'd love to start to hear your background story. So what is your expertise in business and how you got started?
Well, I started my first business at 24 before the internet, before social media. I had no idea what I was doing. And I found myself at the end of my first year in business with doing $1 million in sales. And I had no idea how I did it. I really didn't have any background in accounting or money or inventory or any of those things. I just had a great concept and ran with it. And by the end of year 5, had 5 franchises, a ton of money coming in. I was so young and so immature. Of course, I had houses and cars and tons of travel. But the real takeaway was business systems. I did not have business systems, SOPs, clear processes for everything. And coming from a medical background, that's what I went to college for, dental hygiene. I had a system and a process for everything in that career. So I really, for the business after that failure
Right?
and bankruptcy and divorce and all of those things, I really started the next business with clear frameworks and SOPs with really intentionality in mind. And that's been the space that I've played in for almost 40 years.
Okay. And so how did you start? How did you say, okay, I'm going to go from a hygienist to a business coach?
Oh my gosh. Well, it all started with following a boy to California. And doesn't it always start with a boy?
Right.
And really just got exposed to, a different way of living. And I call it the laptop lifestyle before there was laptops. It
Okay.
was called bartending. And I traveled and I bartended when I needed money. And I snowboarded for 2 years. And I just had this experience of working when I needed to work and having so much fun and embracing life. And I think that was really the catalyst for falling in love with entrepreneurship.
So cool. I love that story. So tell us a little bit about how your journey, because on this podcast, we really love to talk about AI. So how did your journey look in getting started with it and just going from, dabbling and playing to now you're building systems for people?
Well, I think what was really cool about AI, as soon as ChatGPT came out, I had this curious, like, what's possible?
Right.
And I've always been with technology, software systems. I've had a couple SaaS companies. I had an agency a long time ago. And I just thought, well, this is fun. Let me play. So it was that curiosity about what's possible for other coaches, other entrepreneurs, and then seeing what I could do for myself from content creation to workshops to writing and
Right.
and getting it to sound like me kind of evolved over that first year. And now everything I do AI touches it in some way, but I wanna state that I'm a huge fan of automating things, but I love the human touch on every aspect of what I do. So even if AI is writing articles for me or doing automations, I'm involved in the process because that's just how I am. I like that. I
Right.
I like knowing what emails are going out when, but other than that, it was really about working less, being more efficient, and again, systems, processes, SOPs, and really taking what I used to do as a business coach, which was a very successful course that I've probably been running 5 or 6 years, had over 600 entrepreneurs go through this course. It was called Path to 100K, and I had so much success with it. I renamed it Path to 250K, and now each step is AI-ified, making it faster to go through the course, making it more efficient, the output that you get,
Right.
and that's exciting for me when I look towards the future.
And I think what's so neat about what you said is the idea that people are, coming into your world and they are able to go from just starting out to
Mhm,
the sky's the limit. And, you and I talked a little bit about how, you know, things have evolved and changed.
mhm.
And I love the concept that people can really just start out and start a business and
Yeah.
you're doing so many things. Like I watch you and I'm like, how does Suzanne have the time to do all this? So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit, give us some insider secrets on your schedule and how you put things together and how'd you come up with all that?
Well, I think it was a desire to serve at a really high level, but also I wanted to figure out how to produce, articles, content, emails, and events. I love doing live in-person events. So how can I spend more time face to face with my people, whether it's my community, my group coaching program, or my one-on-one clients? How can I be time wealthy with the people who are paying me, whether it's 97 a month or 2,500 a month? How can I really give them my presence? Well, that came by automating and figuring out how to use AI at that next level so that I'm time wealthy with my clients, but also with my family and myself. I mean, since I've done this for myself, I've lost 40 pounds. I exercise every day. I'm meal prepping. I'm back to doing all the things that those core, personal habits for health and longevity and well-being that are so important to me. I started out as a health coach, for God's sakes,
Right.
and all of those things were so important, but I found myself constantly like this,
Right.
and so I wasn't really living my life in accordance to the values that were so, so important to me. So AI has helped me, get back to that core foundational health and well-being. And then my family and my dog gets a walk every day and my family gets a meal every night rather than, somebody who is taking a break to eat dinner and coming right back to the computer.
Right.
I don't ever do that.
I think that's so hard because I
Mhm.
noticed even for myself, like I'm starting out as an entrepreneur and I'm like, I have to, you know, there's so many things because our minds are wired to just have all these ideas and go and come up with all these things. But without the right systems in place,
Yeah.
then it makes it really difficult to be able to do that. So can you give us some, just really strong takeaways? Like what exactly do you do to make it so that you can live this life? Because
Mhm.
ultimately, isn't that what we want? We're doing this for our families and
Yes.
to be able to have this life. And if we're not taking care of our health or doing those things,
Mhm.
it's difficult. So like for the listeners, like what would be some takeaways that you could give them?
Number 1, I schedule everything,
Okay.
and I can say that my husband really helped me with this because he's an engineer, computers, AI, works for Dell, and he has up to 70 projects at a time.
Oh my gosh.
And which I was like, well,
How
how
do
do
you
you
even do that?
do it?
Right. Right.
And he said, if a project comes in and he knows that it's going to take him 8 hours to complete that project, his part of it, he goes and he puts that 8 hours on his calendar. Not all at one time, but like where it fit. And I was like, "Ugh, all right, that's an unlock for me."
Right. Okay.
So I literally put everything on the calendar. For example, a client messaged me this morning. She received her 90-day marketing plan from me and she has questions. So that could throw a little wrench in the calendar. And
Right.
I said to her, do you need me, to talk to me? Or can you ask your questions via WhatsApp and I'll answer sometime today? And she said, oh, that's fine. So I really try to think about what really needs my attention and what could be done asynchronously. Everything else goes on the calendar. So if it takes 10 minutes a day to engage on LinkedIn, I put 20 minutes on the calendar every morning. My
Okay.
exercise time, meditation time. For example, today I have my coach mastermind group at 11. So I have an hour of prep time on the calendar for that the Friday before, twice a month.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was really about thinking, what do I need to show up prepared, give people my attention? Well, if I'm running a mastermind group at a really high level twice a month, I need an hour to prepare for that at least 3 days before. So I put it on my calendar every Friday that I have that on Monday
It's
to
like a
prep.
recurring event that
Yes.
will just always be there.
Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
then do you do like, like looking at your calendar for the next week? Is there a
Yes.
strategy that, yeah.
Yes, always Sunday night, I prep for the week. I reflect on the week before, what went well, what tasks did not get completed, which there are many that don't
Right.
get completed, right? And I pull those forward to this week that are important to get completed. And then, sometimes things seem urgent and you write them down and they're really not, and they never get done. And that's okay. Really focusing, for example, today, I have an article to release today. I have to change a couple things in my calendar, in my membership, and then I have emails to go out today. Well, that's my top 3 tasks. There are 7 others on the list for today. If I don't get to them, I'm okay with that. So it's about those top 3 biggest tasks for me. And I also think that if you're really intentional about the conversations that you're having, the things on the to-do list will always be there. I had this awareness from one of my mentors because I was feeling urgent about my to-do list. Like, what? I want to
Right.
hurry up and get all these things done. Because why? Because what is that going to lead to? And she said to me, your to-do list is just going to grow. So being okay with getting 3 tasks done a day and understanding that the more you do, the more you're going to put, there is no done. There is no there.
Right. And
And
that's
so
such a
that helped
hard
a
life
lot.
lesson. That's a hard
Yes.
life lesson and something I
Yeah.
still work on. But I love that idea of the top three. And I've
Mhm.
been trying to incorporate that too, to just say, at the end of the day, if these three tasks are complete, I will feel like I've accomplished what I needed to
Yeah.
accomplish because there's that kind of sense of, okay, we've done this. So that's amazing.
Well,
And
that
then
way you're not beating yourself up because
right,
of how much you didn't get done that day. You're celebrating what you did do.
right. And how are you using AI to get more accomplished? Because I feel like you
Mhm.
have so many systems in place using the tool. It's not the end all be all. You're controlling what
Mhm.
the output is and what's happening. But what are some of the things that you're doing to make that easier?
Well, for myself, I have a writing system from idea to first draft to putting it in my tone, creating an image, and getting that posted. So that's a workflow for me. Then I also have a content creation workflow once a month. I spend 4 hours and I sit down and I take ideas to finished product and schedule it out. So that's one of my favorite things to do. Honestly, a lot of entrepreneurs I talk to dread creating content. I love it. I
Okay.
absolutely love it because I just find that with AI, with my writing assistant, which is a custom GPT that I created, with my STK GPT that knows my stories, my voice, my analogies. I feel like with those two, I'm able to produce ideas to action so easily. And so I also do that same system for my clients, get them into a writing SOP from short form content, video scripts, workshops, long form content, LinkedIn. The difference between LinkedIn and Facebook posts, I can take one idea and spin it up for LinkedIn and then rewrite it for Facebook. And I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed
Right.
with how good it turns out. And my engagement and people reaching out to me has gone up at least 500% in the last 2 years.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is because we sometimes can feel so overwhelmed by all the things that we're doing, but looking to take the time up front to
Yes.
develop the tools and like pause and think about those systems. And
Mhm.
then it will save time in the end, even though up front it
Yeah.
might feel like, oh my gosh.
Yes. That's why I wanted a really clear path to doing this. Like what I spent a lot of time on this thinking about, well, what is this going to look like to really teach someone else how to have the content system, how to have a marketing SOP, how to have a COO, how to have a bookkeeper and, AI accountant help them with their numbers. That was something I avoided like the plague. I never ever looked at my numbers until I met with my accountant at the end of the year. And he was like, "Do we have a system for this?" I'm like, "No, I don't." And when I finally put that in place, my AI accountant, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a game changer to know your number so clearly. I know that if I attract 100 people, I will get 10 signups for whatever I'm selling. I know that if I attract 1,000 people, I will get between 80 and 100 signups for something. Well, with that knowledge becomes futurist forecasting, like how many people do I want in this program? How many people do I need to get in front of in order to make the money that I desire? And that is so powerful when it comes to creating your business model. Am I going to sell a membership for $47 a month, but I only have 100 people on my email list? No, don't do that. Don't do
Right.
that. You have 10,000 people on your email list? Well, maybe you could sell something for $47, but you're certainly not going to make a living from it. And that unlock for people is so important to know. You can't leave your corporate job where you're making $250,000 a year and expect to make a living selling something for $47 a month or a $297 course if you don't have somebody to sell it to.
Right.
And I think I became just really passionate about talking about that. And then let's put the system in place so that you can figure out how to do that yourself.
And super fast friend, if you're loving this episode, make sure you follow the show and leave a 5-star review. And if you want help actually using AI to build content and sales, come join us inside the school community AI Amplified Entrepreneurs. The link is in the show notes. So, what if you're giving some advice maybe
Mhm.
to someone like starting out who's just leaving corporate or,
Yeah.
just starting out in the entrepreneur world? What do you advise them, like in the sense of thinking about their offerings and how they're reaching out to people? What would be some advice that you might give them?
Number one, start off working with people one on one, figuring out what they need and really making it white glove, bespoke, totally custom. And I remember when I came into the online space as a health coach 15 years ago, I had a really successful in person business. And in person, you assess who you're standing in front of. What do they need? You talk to them. Well, embracing that same mentality in the online space, I thought was difficult. And I tried to just sell things from content, and it didn't work. So I started inviting people to conversations and workshops, and that's what worked for me. So, really knowing my ideal client and the best advice if you're trying to sell coaching, consulting, services, agency services, AI services, meet with people one on one, find out what they need, and then do it with them. And I firmly believe that until you work with 100 clients, you don't even need to create an offer. You just help that person get what they want and figure out what you like doing.
Right.
And I think that message, especially in the AI space, AI services space, if you get roped into, a certain niche, and then 3 months later, AI has changed. Well, what are you going to do then? Like, and so I think as AI grows and improves, we need to really stay on top of that and be able to grow with it. And I think that's exciting.
Absolutely. And I have seen you, I've watched you. I mean, it's just a short time, but the way that you have grown and structured your business is
Mm,
just so exciting to watch and see. So, can
thank
you
you.
tell us a little bit about that evolution? Because when I met you, it was, you had just started a school community
Mhm.
and now the things that you're doing, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I think nothing has changed, but yet everything has changed. What I do for my clients has not changed from, me believing in them before they believe in themselves, extracting intellectual property, turning it into offers, business models, content. None of that has changed. But the way we do it has changed. The way I do it has changed. And I think AI-ifying, I call it, almost every step has made things easier. So now, creating custom tools for someone to create their calendar and their daily habits. Fun, fun to do that. And then when someone uses that tool to create their AM and PM bookends and their daily habits, they're blown away because they go to a URL and they create it and then they download it and then they send me the text file and we create an AI project with all of their text files from all of their work with me. And so what I do has become actually more tangible because instead of just talking about changes and growth, we're documenting and we're actually putting tangible things back into an AI tool and being able to have your AI grow with you. That's just incredible. So while the results and the things I do haven't changed, it was really just the way of thinking about doing this. How can I do it faster? How can I do it better? And how can I do it with a little more flair, uniqueness, and technology, bringing that technology piece into it? And well, now all of these artifacts and assets that I've created are now value for other people. That's incredible to me.
Love that. And I love what you said too, because I've also, when you're working with someone as you, it's difficult because, people who may not be in the AI space, they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And so what I love about you is that you are always on the front edge, learning and playing and doing it for yourself so then
Mhm.
you can teach others. And so
Yes.
I just want to encourage everyone to follow Suzanne on social media because she puts out amazing content that is so valuable. And what you get, even just from a free perspective, is amazing, but being in
Oh,
your
thank
paid
you.
community is exceptional. So if you want people to come and learn more about you, where would you like them to visit?
Well, my website is SuzanneTaylor-King.com. I have a new interactive opt-in that will be live this afternoon, which is really exciting. It's my intellectual property extractor. And it's a custom GPT that literally walks you through the process that I used to do one-on-one with my clients. It's called a timeline activity, and it asks very deep questions about your life in 5-year increments, what you've learned, who you are as a person, and everyone that's gone through it so far, I think I had about 15 beta testers, said they felt like they were sitting in conversation with me. And I was like,
So
I
cool.
love it.
That is
So
amazing.
cool. And that's really the beginning of your up level as an entrepreneur is knowing who you are and what you bring to the table. And Tony Robbins picked me out of a crowd during COVID, and it was a coaching call just for coaches online. And he asked what we used to do for a living before we became a coach. And I typed in entrepreneur dental hygienist. And he was like, who is the dental hygienist? And I was like, oh God, he's going to
Oh,
talk to me.
okay.
Right. And he said something to me that changed the trajectory of my coaching business and my life, really. And it was the awareness that I knew how to connect with people, build trust very quickly from waiting room to having them lay back in the chair and let me put sharp instruments in their mouth. That takes a lot of trust. And
Right.
a and I just thought, well, if I can do that in the dental space, how easy will it be to be a coach and connect with people? And just remembering, no matter what technology I bring into play, that it's really about the personal relationships. Most of my one-on-one clients come from introductions or referrals or an actual conversation with me. And I think remembering that there's no, I mean, you could automate lead gen, right? But there's
Right.
no substitute from people knowing who you are, knowing your heart, knowing that you have their best interest in mind and you just want to help them.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That is so powerful and
Mhm.
such an embodiment of who you are. So I
Thank you.
appreciate your time and your wisdom. And I know that our listeners are going to get a ton of value from this podcast. So thank you
Thank
for
you
being
so
on it.
much.
Thanks for listening to the AI Amplified podcast for entrepreneurs. If you want to learn more about my work, head on over to my website at aicoachingwithangelina.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with a friend. See you next week.